Working our way through NBA Draft Combine Week in Chicago, and surprise, surprise, the Duke basketball world taking over.
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with AJ Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. So great to have you here with us today on Friday, May 15th, 2026. Locked On Blue Devils, your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. And it's a basketball show today. We're talking about this men's team preparing for the upcoming season. The draft combine currently taking place in Chicago. John Blackwell is there with a big decision to make. Also, Cayden Boozer, Isaiah Evans, Maliq Brown. So we'll have tons of thoughts with our good buddy Jeff Fedotin from Forbes, who joins us on the show today. Excited to bring Jeff into the program. Great to see you once again, Jeff, and it's awesome to be able to have basketball footage to watch. I know people famously call the NFL Draft Combine the underwear Olympics and whatnot, not quite to that level when we're looking at the basketball guys, right?
Right. We finally have a little bit of more news, kind of moving to the next phase. And JJ, always a pleasure to be on this podcast with you.
All right, so it's obviously John Blackwell that we're watching and monitoring so much for the Duke team. The measurements came in, and that's kind of the one big thing that's sticking out about Blackwell. At the time you and I are talking, that's the biggest headline news. They've yet to play 5-on-5. They'll do that a little bit later. This is our Friday show, though, and so we'll see how exactly he fares in those scenarios. But measuring in at 6'3" with a 6'2" wingspan, not exactly what these NBA executives are wanting to see.
Absolutely. That wingspan especially, because we've all, as Duke fans, we all have the Cedric Howard worries. Then we get so excited about this big pull in the transfer portal, and then the player ends up leaving for the draft. That wingspan, though, I really, as Coward, tested through the roof, it's seeming a little bit like the other way to Blackwell. That's probably going to push him back to Duke. And that arm length is such a big deal. And you wonder a little bit, he would be a fantastic addition to Duke. The one probably Achilles heel of his game is his defense wasn't great. And I think John Shire could really improve that. You wonder if Duke is so big on tall players and length. You think of a guy like Dame Star, why he's such a good defender. Maybe the lack of arm length is why Blackwell wasn't an elite defender, or even why that's an area he needed to work on.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously makes sense when you've got more area that you're able to cover and your hands are able to get in there and make deflections and create steals and whatnot. Certainly spot on that you're pointing out there, Jeff. So for Blackwell, though, there have been success stories out of this. Talked about it a little bit earlier in the week, but obviously the all-time leading scorer for Duke basketball, J.J. Redick, famously went to the draft combine and had a shorter wingspan than height. Another name that's being mentioned in that same boat, Tyler Hero, who's putting together a pretty impressive NBA career in his own right, he's taller than his wingspan is. These guys can shoot at a really, really high level. So if you're a good enough player, you can work around it. And I think that's exactly the selling point that Shire and the staff are going to be able to make to Blackwell, is there are cases where, yes, that might be what you're hearing now, but let's help you work on the defense, continue to star for one of the top teams in the entire sport, and it'll become so obvious that you're that good of a basketball player. At the end of the day, who cares how long your arms are?
Those are great examples, JJ, of two players who really did well in the NBA despite that. And, look to the other selling point. If maybe the measurables aren't quite there in a pretty loaded draft, come back to Duke. It should be a more watered down draft next year. Come back to Duke, work on that defense, be part of it should be an excellent roster with potential to compete for a national championship, and then go next year. Again, that's certainly what we're hoping as Duke fans here.
Playing alongside talented players, it's going to help what you're doing, and Blackwell will be in that position for the Blue Devils if he decides to come to Durham and play for this team. I mean, you're looking at so many key returners in Pat Ngongba, Dame Sar, the backcourt that you would have there, Cayden Boozer, Duran Rippey Jr., Caleb Foster, all these big names that Duke has, plus that top recruiting class. Drew Sarnowski transferring in. I mean, Blackwell is going to have no shortage of amazing teammates to play with and be a part of a really amazing team.
And what's going to be really interesting to see, JJ, I'm really curious and a little bit concerned too that, he said in interviews that he's excited about more on-ball opportunities. Well, Duke is so loaded at point guard, and where I really am excited about Blackwell potentially on the Duke roster is his scoring and his shooting. I would kind of prefer to see Cayden Boozer and Caleb Foster and Darren Rippey handling the ball a little bit. So I'm curious how that's going to work, but that could be something that further boosts his pro potential down the line if he can show that he could be has some point guard abilities, even though as we've talked about before, basketball, especially the NBA, is getting so positionless. That certainly would enhance his value if he shows some point guard abilities.
For sure. I mean, that's going to be big time if he can add to his game a little bit. But to your point, let's have Duke have the best season possible. And if so, that means other guys are handling the rock and Blackwell's doing what he does best, just scoring, then that's exactly kind of the way that we will operate for Duke going into the new season. Pretty awesome stuff to think about. And John Blackwell had a very unique opportunity to chat with Andy Katz kind of about the week and what he's thinking going into this upcoming big decision and so much more. We'll actually react to that on the other side of this break as you're watching Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Rocket Money. If you ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. It's going to track those subscriptions in one spot and can help you cancel the ones you don't need anymore with just a few taps, automatically categorizing your spending so you can actually see where your money is going. And you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of the upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel even more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and lowers your bills. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Rocket Money is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, welcome back into the program. JJ Jackson and Jeff Fedotin here. We're talking about John Blackwell and the big decision he's got coming up at the NBA Draft Combine. He had the opportunity to chat with Andy Katz. Here's what he had to say.
All right, John, first off, how would you assess your Wisconsin career?
It was amazing, honestly. I think Wisconsin for all the memories, and I had a great time in Madison. I think it's still the best college town in the country. But yeah, it was amazing.
All right, so now you got a big decision coming up sometime in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Go to Duke, probably number one transfer in the portal.
Yeah.
Or see what happens with the NBA draft.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
It's up there right now. I'm just trusting God through the process. I would love to play for a prestigious college like Duke. But chasing my dreams right now and just, weighing what's best for me. Coach Shire's been helpful through the process, and the whole coaching staff at Duke has been helpful through the process. And in my opinion, it's a win-win situation with both, because I get to play at the best college in the country, or get to live out my dreams and play in the NBA.
So if you're at Duke, with everyone coming in, I had them number one in my way too early.
Yeah.
What have you seen in that roster that leads you to believe this is a team that could win a title?
That's the reason I picked Duke, because of the roster and because of who's coming back and just the guys that are around. I think we have a special chance to go get a national championship, and that's what you play for. That's what you come back to college for, to go compete for a national championship.
You've had to play with different partners every step of the way. This would be another chance, really, wherever you go, NBA or Duke.
Yeah.
How have you been able to do that, regardless where you play, that you essentially have a different backcourt mate each year?
I think just growing up, honestly, you're going to play with talented players your whole life. And I'm a good guy, a fun guy, and a good guy to play with. I play off your strengths, and I try to help you. And then I'm encouraging you to let you rock out, go do your thing, and then I'm going to do my thing at the same time.
Going to do his thing at the same time while great teammates rock out, and he calls it a win-win. How special is that from John Blackwell? Again, chatting with Andy Katz at the NBA Draft Combine. Jeff and I are talking prior to the 5-on-5 events being played, so we'll see the updates that come from that. But when you hear Blackwell speak, Jeff, what are you thinking? What thoughts are going through the head?
First of all, like how well spoken he was and how diplomatic, and like you said, that win-win, that is totally the right approach, and he seems like he gets it. So very impressed with that interview. Said all the right things. Also, kind of interesting to Andy Katz. This is what we think, but that's cool to hear that right now Duke is kind of the number one team. That was also kind of like a little takeaway as we're focusing on Blackwell. That was kind of a tangential thing. That was a cool takeaway there.
Well, you mean we've got the stats again, a 19-point score, 39% from three-point range, 86% from the free throw line. He rebounds it well, and he'd be joining so much talent. It is cool to think about that, and that's got to be part of the selling point. I mean, you look at the mock drafts right now, and Blackwell's name's not really there. That would be an indicator that, hey, maybe there is some momentum for you to go to the league, but he kept referring to Duke as we, and I know we're analyzing here a 2-minute clip or whatever, but that's kind of what we've got so far from Blackwell himself. And it feels as though he would be really excited about the opportunity to go play for Duke basketball. Cedric Coward, I'll say it though, he had amazing things to say about Jon Scheyer and the feedback that he was able to get from him and whatnot through the process a season ago too.
Yeah, and again shows that Jon Scheyer and the Duke staff has the right approach. I mean, these great players don't want to play with coaches and staff. So like, you must come here. No,
right.
They want to play for the programs, for the coaches who want the best for them and are pushing them to achieve their NBA dreams. And JJ, you have those impressive stats on the scroll across the bottom of the screen, and that just shows what an addition he would be for this team. Duke would still be, with the talent they have, they'd be a very good team without Blackwell, but he's really the missing ingredient. That scoring, that shot making, that bucket getting, it's really would be the nice piece. He would potentially, I think right now, he would probably be my guess for the leading scorer for Duke. I think it's him or Big Pat.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think it will be Blackwell ahead of Pat Ngongba if he's able to come and play basketball at Duke this season. I think ultimately that's the decision that he ends up making. And it's a spot where Duke's going to feel comfortable again with so many guards that they're going to be able to rotate in and out quickly. The roster is, 5 deep on both ends. I mean, you could keep doing platoon systems if Jon Scheyer wanted to get crazy from time to time. When you mentioned the top recruiting class coming in and all the guys returning, even somebody like Sebastian Wilkins, who I've seen some comments this week, people not too happy with us at Locked On Blue Devils for giving Sebastian Wilkins enough love. So very fired up that Seabass is still in the program and didn't transfer away after redshirting a season ago. And it just speaks to the depth of this Duke team that they'll have tons of high-level basketball players that they can rely on.
Absolutely. Those practices, like you said, it's really like they almost have 2 platoons. Man, I would love to see those practices are going to be great preparation for the games. There's been a lot of jokes, including on this pod, that how those practices might be more competitive than some of the lower tier ACC contests.
Yeah, some of the league games, it's like, man, Duke is better off in practice. So don't want to get overly cocky, but feeling pretty good about what the rest of the league looks like for Duke going into a new season. At the Draft Combine this week, also, we've got familiar faces in Cayden Boozer, Isaiah Evans, and Maliq Brown. We'll start with Boozer, obviously the National Player of the Year, and caught a lot of eyeballs with the shooting drill, going 19 for 25, including 9 straight makes. Who's surprised, though? I mean, certainly not Duke fans, because we saw it all season long, how great of a player this guy was. And ultimately, I do think it ends up probably being AJ Dysanta, who's the top pick. But I'm glad that now people are starting to say, wait a minute, maybe we should consider Cayden Boozer to be the top guy in this draft class.
Absolutely. I feel Cayden Boozer continues to be undersold. We've all seen it, though. I mean, you're a 40% three-point shooter as a freshman. I mean, that's only going to get – his shooting is only going to get better with continued practice. And also he showed his several things. He showed his measurables, his athleticism. He was, I believe, 253. He's such just a strong guy. You look at, sometimes we get carried away with the big biceps and stuff looking good in that jersey, but look what he's running. His legs are like tree trunks, and that's really more important. That's where you get your power as a basketball player, as an athlete. So his measurables were good. I think we've all seen on social media the side-by-side of him and Caleb Wilson. He tested better in the agility drills than Caleb Wilson, even though Caleb Wilson, the narrative is that he's the more athletic player. That might not – he is – explosive and twitchy, but not necessarily more athletic, as we saw in those drills. The other thing that's interesting, there's a lot of debate between Caleb and Cam. They're both fantastic players. You got the Duke North Carolina thing. People kind of pit them together as rivals. They played on the same AAU team.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. This happens a lot when you're talking Duke North Carolina. For us as fans, like, I want Cam Boozer to go before Caleb Wilson, but they're very close.
Yeah, and happy for one another and the success that they share. Yeah, it's pretty fitting it makes sense, I should say, that the Boozer twins and Caleb Wilson had success on a team together as they ran through the circuits there in their prep days. I think, though, what's been not frustrating. I mean, we're not losing sleep over things like this, but it's, hey, let's not put as much in agility drills and what these guys are shooting to be like, man, Cam Boozer's a great player. He showed it all season long, night after night. I mean, this guy absolutely performed. His lowest scoring game was 13 points in the ACC championship game, where he still found so many ways to make an impact on the game and still made the big plays down the stretch. I mean, he delivered quite literally in every game this season.
That 13-point game, I think also he was something like 13, 8, and 8 or something. So it's like it was not the biggest scoring output, but it was still like a terrific line. Yeah, and it's funny that the combine is all about is checking for injuries and it's checking for all these measurables and athleticism. And again, there continues to be a narrative that he's not good around length, or he's not as athletic, but he's been good at all the drills. His arm length, we talked about that earlier, was good. His height was good. Even without shoes, he was basically almost 6'9". Well, again, there's this narrative, but whenever we saw him against length, whenever we saw him against athleticism, whether that's Michigan, which had that great front line, obviously a national championship team, he always did well. He was consistent as you could possibly be, no matter what the challenge he was facing. And I think the combine is showing that he's more athletic, he's bigger, he's taller and a better shooter than maybe the narrative had suggested.
All right, so the other guys this week in Chicago, Maliq Brown and Isaiah Evans, going through the process. Both guys are seen in mock drafts, which is awesome in the second round, particularly to see Maliq Brown. I do hope ultimately he hears his name called and starts a professional career as a drafted guy. That's so well deserved for Maliq with the type of player he is. You're seeing a lot of kind of 20s range for Isaiah Evans once he enters the draft, and maybe he'll start to climb the boards as he goes through individual team workouts and that sort of thing. But it looks like these two guys have a bright NBA career ahead of them.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see where Maliq Brown goes, because he's such an interesting case that he's I don't want to put this too harshly, but he's a little bit of a one-trick pony, but that trick is amazing and perhaps the best. He might be the best defender in the draft.
There's not an abundance of that commodity. There's not an abundance of it.
How do you weigh that when you're just excel at one area that is important, but maybe not as good at the other area? So I think it's going to be interesting to see, but he will definitely be in the NBA in some capacity, whether he's drafted, whether he's on a two-way, whether he's, G League, he will, whether even he's just back in the roster. I'd be surprised if he's not in the NBA, because he has that calling card,
somebody's going to want to give him an opportunity. So I think that's exactly what we're going to be able to see from Maliq as he starts his professional career. So very excited for him, and very excited for what Duke could be going into the next season as they just add more to the NBA, which helps the recruiting. It's all full circle what's going on in a great time of year. Again, the NBA playoffs unfolding in front of us and Duke's all over the place. The NBA draft continues to move on, and what an exciting stage that we've got set here. We're due for one more break, and then we wrap up the week on Locked On Blue Devils. Thank you so much for making Locked On Blue Devils your first listen and your first watch here today. For your second listen, go check out Locked On Sports Today, our daily show that recaps everything going on in the world of sports. You can also check out Locked On College Basketball. Isaac Shade and Andy Patton do a great job telling you about what's happening in the college hoops world. And, of course, there's always tons of news Duke-centric. I'd also encourage you to go check out our friends Alex Dono and Kenton Gibbs over at Locked On ACC, a part of a great conference. Go check it all out. I also want to let you know about our Everydayer Club. If you'd like more Locked On Blue Devils, if you would like access to ad-free versions of the show and an opportunity to be a part of our members-only Discord channel, consider joining us in the Everydayer Club. Check out more information by clicking the link down below. Also, LockedOnBlueDevils.supercast.com, the Everydayer Club with Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, last segment here. Jeff Fedotin's hanging out with me, and we're talking about the end of NBA Draft Combine Week and what's to come for this Duke team. Still a few weeks away from guys officially coming on campus. The big decision day on May 27th. That's a Wednesday, where players will have to decide if they're going to return to college basketball or stay in the NBA draft. So John Blackwell news has to come prior to Wednesday, May 27th, along with someone like Alan Graves or Milan Momcilovic. Matthew Abel, currently signed to North Carolina after playing for NC State a season ago. Does he stay in the draft or go on to Chapel Hill? I mean, lots of guys have to make decisions coming up here soon. And then we'll finally start to see guys arrive on campus. Hopefully you're able to see Deron Rippey Jr. and this full freshman class remain in peace and show up.
Yeah, finally, can you believe this moving so quickly? It's like you said, it's not that far off till the Duke guys are actually on campus. And then obviously the draft is going to be a lot of fun. It's always great to see Duke players drafted high. We know Cayden Boozer will be. And like you said, it's pretty likely that Isaiah Evans is going to go, somewhere in the first. I mean, you're pretty much Duke is getting at least one guy, and that's a slow year. If they only get one guy in the first round of the NBA draft, pretty much they're getting multiple guys NBA draft each and every year, which is just amazing. What a testament to the success of this program.
Yeah, and it gives fans more teams to kind of follow and root for, and it's pretty awesome. Absolutely. It's not quite all 30 teams have at least one Duke player on them, but hopefully one day we can get to that point. That'd be so fun to be able to watch night after night, seeing stars of the Blue Devils playing at the next level. So pretty excited to see what that looks like, and then excited to turn our attention again fully to what this upcoming season will be. We've seen some of the games announced, still waiting for the SEC, ACC Challenge teams to be selected and other non-conference games that Duke will put on the schedule. Even some of the lesser games, right? The quote-unquote cupcake or bye games that you've got to put on the schedule. I'm excited to see who Duke's going to be able to go up against.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was fun last year when we had teams like Niagara with Greg Paula. So even the kind of the lesser teams, and the ACC, SEC has been really fun. We've had some great games. I mean, look at it's only been this will only be the third year, but look at the first year, Duke Auburn was incredible. Of two teams that would be in the Final Four, Isaiah Evans coming out party, that was a spectacular game. Then actually, speaking of Isaiah Evans, he had the game-winning shot against a great Florida team, a defending champion. That could very well be, those are two teams. Wouldn't be surprised at all if that is the game. Two teams that are probably going to be jockeying for the preseason number one ranking. So that could very well. That's probably my prediction because it sounds like Duke, Tennessee, that'd be another one, but Duke's probably playing them in the preseason. So you wouldn't want that. But the ACC, SEC that challenge is ending up to be just as good as the ACC Big Ten challenge of old.
Yeah, let me correct you on third season, or 3 seasons have gone by. 4th season of the event, but that first year, remember, Duke went to Arkansas.
Arkansas.
And dropped that one. What we need,
Which
Jeff,
that would be another potential. But thank you for Duke, Arkansas with it. I blocked that out because that was a tough one when they lost to that Musselman.
Yeah, when you lose, I'm with you. I want to try to delete as many of those memories as possible. As you were going over the wins, though, both inside Cameron, I was like, man, Isaiah Evans is the X factor in both of these things. So now we'll need to find a new X factor in these ACC, SEC games. And with it being at Arkansas and then the 2 straight at home, like we said, it's probably due for Duke to go back out on the road.
Yeah, that's got to be a road game. There's no way they could get 3 straight in a row. That's for sure.
Well, Jeff, it's always fun to talk about what's going on in the world of Duke basketball and beyond with you, my friend. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Tell me about everything on your plate and how people can follow along.
Yeah, I've had a lot of cool content on Forbes.com this week. Well, I've been all over the NFL schedule release, have stories on how the Chiefs are playing their 4th straight primetime game to open the season and why they're not playing internationally this season. And then I've teased this a little bit before. On Monday here, I'll have a story about Travis Kelce and his partnership with Tommy Hilfiger. Again, I write a lot about branding with Forbes, and that's why, when I can, I love writing about Duke because that's the ultimate college basketball brand.
I love it. Well, Jeff, it's great to see you, man, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Thanks so much, JJ.
There he goes. That's Jeff Fedotin. Follow him on X at @JFedotin. I'm there as well at _JJ_Jackson_, and give the show a follow at @LO_Blue Devils. Guys, that's going to do it for our week here on Locked On Blue Devils. Thank you so much for your support always. Be sure to follow and subscribe to us for free wherever it is that you get your podcast. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you on Monday. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.